So, welcome back to the Polly Tea with D, episode 3. Oh, I love when things rhyme. Anyway, this is the last episode of the year because who wants to hear about politics during Christmas time and New Year's? And it's not the vibe. And also, the doll is already at recess or on recess. I'm not too sure which one it is. But yeah, recess is upon us. And do you know how politicians love to give themselves the longest holiday ever? They're not even back until, like, I know after the 9th, I think like the 11th or something of January, or the 12th even. So, yeah. But I will do an episode before that because, like, it'll have been a long gap. So if anything occurs that's worth a story time, I'll do an episode on that. And I also will be having my first ever guest, my bestie Anna, who is studying. Oh, I should know that she's literally doing her assignments right now. I want to say human rights and immigration law. She's doing her master's in it. So she is a good one to have, especially because there's a lot of, I think it's refugee and immigration law. You know what? We'll double check. But there's a lot of misinformation going on at the moment, spread by our own politicians and TDs and our own Minister for Justice around immigration, refugees, asylum seekers. So it would just be nice to have a little fact check episode so people can know the truth, no bias, no nothing, just the information. So she will be on to talk about that. Okay, but until then, let's get into this episode. Let's talk about the man on everybody's. Oh, is that the man on everybody's lips? That doesn't sound right. The name of the man on everyone's lips. You guys will soon learn, or have already learned, I don't do well with phrases, but I like using them nonetheless. So, anyway, Jim Gavin, everybody's talking about him and his terrible, like, horrible, embarrassing presidential run. A short one at that. I mean, he made it until like the last 3 weeks or something, but to be fair, this whole process was already very short. So, um, but yes, so quick rundown of what happened. I mean, before we get into the report. So Jim Gavin was chosen by Micheál Martin to represent Fianna Fáil in the presidential election. He is an ex-GAA coach, yeah, Dublin GAA manager, and he's given us a few titles. Like, he is apparently the best manager of all time here in Ireland. So shout out to him for that, at least. But was he president material? We'll literally never know. So Micheál Martin chose him to run. He has his little campaign going on. Then it comes out that he owes a previous tenant 3.3k, and that tenant is a journalist. So talk about bad luck, huh? Anyway, like, imagine of all the people, like, you would know exactly how to get this story into the world, but it's like it wasn't even really him that put the story into the world. But anyway, comes out that he owes this person 3.3k. He goes on This Week in Politics. When he's asked about it, he goes, I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into it. He knows damn well it's true. But anyway, I'm not too sure. I'll have to look into it. Next day, he's at the game. He's done. No, not even next day. End of day, I'm pretty sure. So shame, but not really. So anyway, this whole thing was super embarrassing for Micheál Martin because it's like, you clearly don't know how to pick him. Like, it really, like, what's the word? It's a reflection of his judgment, if you will. So, yeah, he's been in some hot water, and now a report came out. So they said that they're going to do an investigation into, like, how did this even happen? Like, how did we get to Jim Gavin? Like, who knew what when? Okay, that's important. Who knew what and when? And, like, how was this whole thing handled? And honestly, guys, this whole report doesn't really blame anyone. I'd say the only one who comes out with blame is Jim Gavin, but Micheál Martin seems pretty happy with this, the results of this. So I don't really see how, but let's get into it. Okay, so the report came out. Shout out Irish Times. They did a little, like, six main things from it. So this is the six main things. Number one, there was no procedure in place. So to get a nomination, like, within Fianna Fáil, like, if you decided I could actually run for president, I feel like I do well. If you decided that there was no really, like, process in place, you'd have to get, like, a senior member of the party to back you. And even if that you found someone to back you, there was no process to actually like put your name forward until early September. Mind you, nominations open on September 5th and closed on September 24th. So if you're only able to really put yourself forward in early September, it just doesn't really make sense, okay? And also, no process for like even being put forward, but no process for finding out you didn't get the job, or you're not getting that nomination, you're not getting that security, anything. Because Mary Hannafin and Brady Hearne both found out that they weren't getting that nomination on the news. Honestly, I don't know why Brady Hearne ever thought it was gonna be him. Like, babe, I'm sure like people love that you were so good for, the peace process and stuff, but like I don't think people can get past the whole corruption and I don't know, the economic crash. I don't know. I don't think that's a possibility. So, um apologies, but not really. So yeah, it was never gonna be him. But yeah, these people found out on the news. That's kind of funny actually, but not funny for them, I guess. Anyway, point number two. They were courting Jim Gavin in June. And apparently it was like some ex-football player came to Fianna Fáil, like went to them and was like, you know who'd be fab for Prezi? I know the perfect person. Jim Gavin, and they actually like took that on board. So yeah, they were courting him in June, but nobody in the party actually knew this. Like apparently Billy Kelleher went to Deirdre Gillane, who is one of Micheál Martin's top aides, and was like, and this is in August, was like, do you know what? Micheál actually should put himself forward for president. Mind you, whole time Jim Gavin's already in the mix. Like they know it's him. They know that's their guy. And he has people throwing in their suggestions. It was never gonna be you. Okay? And they didn't want to announce this because they didn't want to announce in August because August is like silly season because there's like nothing's really happening during the summer. Everybody's out and about. Like I feel like anything makes the news because there's nothing going on, especially nothing in politics anyway. That's why Catherine's campaign at the start was getting so much airtime because she was the only one campaigning and there was nothing else on to cover. So yeah, they didn't want it, but they didn't tell people that. Though I feel like if you're in politics, you would know, like, that silly season isn't really the time to be announcing. But I don't think they knew that about Jim Gavin having been courted in June. That's messy. Okay. Three, this one to me is crazy. They didn't poll him before the nomination, like before the official nomination. They didn't see like we think he's a good pick. I assume everybody like he's so loved. He's like this GAA coach. He's done so much for Dublin specifically. I don't know about the rest of the country, like why they would vote for him. But and I mean he has some country roots to get. I guess I remember like when he was in on some farm in white jeans. Who goes for farm in white jeans? Who wears white jeans? Period. Full stop. No shade to the white jeans wearer. I guess I don't know. I'm not stylish like Jim Gavin, obviously. So anyway, he does have some country roots, so I guess he would have maybe gotten some like he maybe gotten some support there. Like his parents are from Clare, I think. But despite all that, they still didn't poll him, so they didn't even know if he'd be a good candidate or not. Kind of crazy, I feel. Number four, they warned Jim Gavin that like potential clients or like tenants were gonna come out. Like if you disgruntled tenants, like your landlord, like this information will come out. They warned him about that. Jim Gavin said, "Nah, not a bother, no budge. Don't worry about that. Like I've no everyone loves me, like don't worry." And they were like, even though we've done our due diligence, like something could come out. And he said, no, I'm not even worried about that. Now, let's get into the order of events of how the information about him owing this guy, Niall Donald, 3.3 came about. Okay, so keep in mind, September 5th, nominations open. September 24th, they close. Okay? September 5th, the Irish independent journalist Fiannan Sheehan. I've heard that name. I know his name. I've actually met him, so I don't know why I'm struggling. Fiannan? Whatever. Mr. Sheehan approaches Martin's top aide, Deirdre Gillane, about a potential issue with a tenant. Okay, so they don't know exactly what the issue is yet, just that there might be an issue, okay, or that there is a potential issue. September 8th, 3 days later, Mr. Sheehan emails Fianna Fáil and says that he wants to sit down and interview Jim Gavin about this potential issue. So at this point, he surely knows the tea. Like, he knows exactly what's going on. Like, Mr. Sheehan, anyway. On the same day, a Dublin Southwest TD, John Lahert, John Lahert, guys, names they really beat me, huh? Anyway, he texts Jack Chambers saying that there's a potential issue with the tenant and a deposit not being returned. So now they're getting more information, like they know it's a tenant, this tenant is a journalist, and it's about a deposit that hasn't been returned. So they have the gist of the problem. They put it to Jim Gavin. He says, I don't know. I don't remember any of this, honestly, like beats me. End of story. That was it. That was it. In the report, it literally says nothing further was done. They didn't think to say, oh, what's the name of this tenant? What paper does he work for? Huh? What exactly? How much money is it? Like, should we fact check it? Like, what? Nothing further was done. Your version of due diligence is asking Jim Gavin, hey, do you owe someone a bit of money? Nah, I don't. Fairs, let's carry on with a presidential election in the midst of a housing crisis where landlords are enemy number one. Cool. October 4th, so now we're nearly a month later, okay? A story comes out in the Irish Independent about this kind of situation that like he owes somebody, but there's no name yet, and that he owes somebody €3,300. So then that same day, or not the same day, like around that time, Niall Donald, who is the actual tenant and he's the deputy editor of the Sunday World, he contacts the party himself now. And Fianna Fáil's press officer answers the phone and says, and he's traveling with Jim Gavin, this press officer. He speaks to the press officer on the phone. The press officer mentions the name to Jim Gavin. When he hears it, he's thinking, oh, this is starting to ring a few bells. Like, I do know this guy. Like, he recognizes it, but he doesn't even know that this guy's a journalist. Like, he didn't know this about him, but he's like, I recognize the name a bit. I'll actually start looking into this, get a few bits and bobs, like look into the papers, like see what do I owe him money, how much money I owe him, what, okay? And it's like at this point in the review, it says it is evident that the matter is very serious. So this is when they're clocking like, shit, we might have fucked up, dude. Okay. So Gavin reviews his money, his records, and accepts that he has received some of the payments in question. So like he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I got, yeah, he did actually pay me that amount. Okay, October. This is all October 4th. October 5th is the week in this week. Oh, the week in politics. That debate happens. He is asked by Anya Lawler, do you owe someone 3.3k? Like that's a lot of money to not know if you owe €3,000. I know when someone owes me a tenner, but maybe we're in different pay scales, sure. But he's like, it's a lot of money to owe somebody, and it's a lot to not know if you do or not. So he's like, I'll have to look into it. At this point in time, he knows damn well. He knows damn well, okay? So after the debate, Chambers and Martin like tell him like they can't support him anymore. Like Jack Chambers and Michael Martin, they say like, sorry pal, like your time is done. And like please, like we can't, like, and you can't do it without their support, obviously. So he goes back to party HQ that evening and they draft a statement and he withdraws from the race, and that is that. So it's like, on one hand, it's like they didn't actually know the details of it. Like, Jim Gavin wasn't involved in this review process. So we actually will never know if he knew from the beginning that he owed the specific person, because I listened to Niall Donald after all of this came out. He did like a podcast because he has like his own podcast, like Crime World or something like that. So he details this, and he's saying for years and years, like every time Jim Gavin would be on the TV, like people would be like, there's your mate, because like it was a known thing that Jim Gavin owed him that money. Like he'd even gone to Jim Gavin's dad's house or like his parents' house, being like, no, but he didn't, when he went to Jim Gavin's parents' house, he didn't say, oh, he owes me money. He was just like, do you know where he is? Like, can you tell him that I'm looking for him? And like before that, he'd been emailing him, like trying to get in contact with him. Jim Gavin's not answering his calls. It's only after he went to Jim Gavin's parents' house that Jim Gavin answers the phone. And Orwell calls him, and because he's now pissed, like, you showed up at my parents' house. Is that too far to show up at someone's parents' house? if you owe me 3K, like, I'll show up at your nanny's house too. Like, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, you know? But he didn't even tell the parents, like, oh, it's because they owe me money or whatever. So he was nice in that regard, but Jim was obviously really pissed that he even went that far. So Jim's like, okay, I'll look. No, Jim says, I'll send you the money tonight. Okay? Dude's waiting and waiting and waiting for that money. Never ever comes. Okay? So in like journalist social circles, apparently, like this was like a known, or like in his social circle, I guess, it was a known thing that Jim Gavin owed him 3,000 $3,000. Come on now. 3,000 euro. So yeah, messy. So even then, Micheál Martin went on. I don't know. He's been touring the radio stations and whatnot. He said, like, I'd heard rumors about it like early on, but like when it's a presidential election, like you hear all these rumors, like you don't. Some of them are like are actually real, and some of them are not. I just assumed it was one of them fake ones. Like there's just so much stuff circulating around that time that I wasn't sure. Like no one comes out of this like really terrible, I guess, but honestly I kind of think you're stupid as fuck for like not actually doing, like, taking this seriously. Like the minute they came and said, like, Mr. Sheen came to them and said, I know something that you don't know, like came with this information. They should have investigated it further. The fact that it's like nothing was done, and you like what, we're just hoping it'd be swept under the rug. Like, and also like he's a respected journalist. So the fact that this guy came to you with a story, someone that you trust and know, like knows his shit, like that wasn't enough for you to clock in, you know? And like people lie. That's the thing. Like just because Jim Gavin said something doesn't mean you just take it at face value. Like people lie, okay? I don't know. This is just stupid. Anyway, the campaign cost, they don't have the exact figure, but between 350,000 to 400,000. That's a crazy, crazy amount of money. And when you get over 25% of the votes, you can get up to 250%, 250,000 back. So I think they were hoping to get that some of that money back. It was never ever gonna happen. But yeah, I think he got 7%. Like honestly, 7% to me is pretty good considering like he dropped out. Like why were people voting for him? I don't know. I wonder if it's like it was part of the spoil the vote campaign, like that in itself is spoiling the vote because he's obviously not running anymore. I don't know. Or maybe there's people who don't watch the news and didn't know he had dropped out, but like, I don't know, guys. Honestly, 7% to me is still kind of a lot. Anyway, some of the recommendations though around that came from this report was that there needs to be one, a clear process when it comes to choosing a presidential candidate, and also more people should be allowed to vote within the party. Like party members should be allowed to vote, like councillors, TDs, because it's like only kind of like the top leadership who get to vote. Because when it was Billy Kelleher versus Jim Gavin, it was like 29 to 41 the votes. Like that's not a lot of people allowed to vote in this situation. So who knows? It's actually funny. I was listening to that podcast that Jim O'Callaghan was on the other day, where that made that weird social cohesion comment. We'll get into that later though. But I was listening and he was like, yeah, I admit that like it was a mistake to I shouldn't have voted for Jim O'Callaghan. Like I went against my better judgment, and like even though I kind of knew he was Billy Kelleher was the better candidate, and I'm like, then you should have just voted for him. Like I just like it's very telling that you just went along with what Micheál Martin wanted against your own judgment. Like have a backbone. I don't know, like stand up for what you want, and it's an anonymous vote as well. So it's like you actually didn't have to do all that. But yeah, all these people being like, in hindsight, it was a bad idea. You knew it was a bad idea, but Miho wanted it and you still went ahead with it. How about that? Also, before the report came out, even now, still, a lot of this was like, is Miho Martin's leadership in question? Like, loads of people were coming out on the news, like on radio, on all these like platforms, and like somebody called him a dictator, and like people were saying that they like don't know if he's really the leader to lead us into he's not leading them into the next general election, like obviously not, but like can he even lead them now, like that's still a question that's happening. After he's very confident, he's like, after I've read the report, I'm happy out, like I'm not even worried in the slightest. He's happy out, but if there was to be a vote of no confidence, what way is it going? I don't know. Either way, this Jim Gavin thing needs to end, actually. Oh, but before it does end, I want to like play you guys this video. So before the report came out, like the weekend before, there was kind of rumors swirling, which were in a way kind of true, but there was rumors swirling that Micheál Martin knew really, really early on about all of this and withheld it from his party. Okay, so he is in front of like all the papers and stuff like this, like all the journalists, and they're all asking him about this and talking to him about this, and he's like, "I've gotten the report now, and it actually says that like I didn't." Well, he insinuates that the papers and like the newspapers, the radios, news, everything, they were reporting that he knew about this ahead of time, like he knew about Jim Gavin owing that person money. So he was fuming that they had spread this kind of narrative. But he has like a meltdown, I feel. Like, I don't know how else to describe it except you just need to listen.
Others have been focused on the gotcha moments and attempting to create gotcha moments and attempting to create attack lines against me. I mean, that's been the agenda for the last number of weeks. But I haven't been focused on that. I've been focused on the work as Taoiseach. Received it last evening, and I will be sharing it promptly with the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party. I'm much happier that I have it now. I didn't have it all along, and I was taken back by some of the commentary last week, where it seemed to people to be acting on what they reported leaks or whatever, and the assertions contained in some of the commentary last week were simply false to party meeting. But I think the ones that were made at the weekend, in respect to people in respect to people having knowledge that they didn't have, and the assertions that they did, and that was wrong. Let's not be covering up now about whatever. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get into sort of people trying to contextualize assertions that were made.
The suggestion, Taoiseach, with the greatest
normally when I
respect,
come,
it's a bit Trumpian to be commenting about media and then
think you
not saying
should.
what's wrong.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get into an argument.
The night that Jim Gavin withdrew from the presidential election, did yourself and Jack Chambers tell him that you couldn't guarantee him the support of the parliamentary party?
Sorry, again, look, I'm not. I only got the report last year.
I'm not asking you about the report. I'm asking about your recollection of events, Taoiseach.
Sorry, you're going to have manners to allow me to speak, and you're making comments that are unfair, and you should withdraw. Okay? No, I didn't come here for an argue with anybody. The report will be published. The report will go to the parliamentary party. The full entirety of the context will be there. But I'll be straight with you, Louise. False assertions were made in respect of people, and they were false. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And I'm entitled to say that. And I'm very calm about this. I'm absolutely relieved I've got the report because I didn't have it up to now. You seem to be getting tidbits from somebody, I don't know who. I have no idea how that is happening, but I certainly haven't seen the report until last evening. And I hope you accept that.
Okay, so maybe a meltdown was a bit of a strong word, but he just was really like kind of aggressive. Like he didn't answer any questions, and I don't think, I guess her name's Louise. I don't really think her questions were unfair. And it is a bit Trumpian to not answer these questions. Like she was kind of right about that. Like you're in public office. Like if someone asks you a question, you probably should answer it instead of saying, "I'm not gonna answer that." Where'd you even get that? Where'd you get that tidbit from? Like you're getting it from someone. Like you can also just say, "No, I never said that." But now the fact that you've gone on the offensive or whatever, on the defensive, now it makes it seem like you did say that, like you didn't even answer the question, and it doesn't even seem to be that harsh of a question. I don't get it, but like, sure, look, sure, listen. Anyway, I'm done with this. I'm done with Jim Gavin. Kind of done with Micheál Martin. I can never be done with him, I guess, because he's Taoiseach, so I'll have to talk about him almost every week. But this whole situation, like, Fianna Fáil, if you're gonna drop him, just drop him. Like, let it be done. But I mean, it's not gonna be done now. It's probably gonna be done after the EU presidency that I mentioned last week, because it makes no sense to have like a big transition of power at this moment in time. But yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Keep our eyes peeled. Or, I mean, I'll keep my eyes peeled and let you know. Okay, next. Jim O'Callaghan is a person who I have so many things to say about, which will be said in the immigration episode, because I have so many thoughts, but I'm like, I need to come up with the receipts actually. So, but anyway, he said on a podcast that there are fears high asylum seeker numbers could cause a breakdown in social cohesion. Okay? The Irish Refugee Council's chief executive, Nick Henderson, said that this breakdown is caused by a small but violent minority ready to commit murder and arson, and an ongoing failure of leadership and growing racism left unchecked. And to be fair, he's right. Sure, the story that just came out, I mean, it didn't come out just now, but the court just heard the story of an extreme right wing group that had a 15-point plan for a mosque attack. Like, instead of, combating racism in this country, the government have just decided that they're going to stoke more fear and flame the fires and all this. What's with the metaphors? Okay. Whoa, flame the fire. Too many metaphors, actually. Um, and like, they're just, I don't know, catering to the far right, because it gets them likes and views and clicks and votes, I guess. Nick Henderson said that it's victim blaming, and the Social Democrats and People Before Profit have also said some more on this. Because I was listening to the podcast, actually, where he made these comments, and he basically was like, the host, I don't know what, the Hugh something, the host was like, a lot of the numbers, the immigration numbers that are coming in are actually from the UK and people with work visas and stuff. And he was like, yeah, well, we can't control that. So we can only control some things. And I guess the things that they can't control are the asylum seeker numbers and refugee numbers. Well, they can't control asylum seeker numbers, but they can control refugee numbers. So that's what they've decided they're going to do. So it's like, you've actually just admitted that you're purposely targeting a minority group in this country because that's the only group you can target. Like, what? Why would you say that? And like, a breakdown of social cohesion, you did that. Your government did that. We have a homelessness crisis, but somehow it's refugees' problems and asylum seekers. Like, it's their problem that you guys can't provide enough social housing for people or houses, period, for people. Somehow it's their fault. Like, please, don't even start now. Enough said about that. Another story for another day. So, the Oireachtas Joint Committee on Artificial Intelligence released their first report, and it has 85 recommendations, including, and I'll read some of these recommendations. So, establishing the AI committee on a permanent basis, and they're also calling for a citizens' assembly on artificial intelligence, the development of a national AI risk register, obligations on platforms to prevent the use of AI-driven recommender systems for misinformation campaigns. That is important. Um, and the switching off of recommender systems by default. Also, all public bodies and semi-state entities using AI in public services must publish annual evidence-based reports detailing benefits, disadvantages, and any inequalities identified. This whole situation, this report leads me to the most bizarre thing I saw this week. Okay, so District Magazine posted about this because I don't think I would have seen it other way. Okay, Údarás na Gaeltachta, who are the authority, like the state authority in charge of the Gaeltacht, announced an AI driven competition. So this competition is to create a video. There's two categories. You can create a video using some AI, or you can create a video only using AI. And it's to like talk about the importance of the Irish language and Irish culture, and like the future of it, basically using AI. So the whole thing is about like, how can AI be used in the future to increase the use of Irish and things like that, okay? Promote Irish culture. If there's two categories, and this is the same for both category. If you win in first place, you get 1,500 euro. If you get second place, you get 1,000 euro. And if you get third place, you get 500 euro. I'm sorry, this to me is so unbelievably insane. I just can't believe this is real. Like, how about you just, I don't know, pay actual videographers and photographers well, and then they'll just do this stuff for you? Or like have a competition around this with no AI? Like, why the use of AI? And honestly, I'm not a fan of AI, but like, it's not this big bad evil that, people think it is. Like, AI can be used for really, like, it's used in medicine. It's like, it can be used to advance the future and stuff, technology and whatever. But with everything, humans find a way to make it evil and do these terrible things with it, like deep fakes, like porn deep fakes and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And also, guys, every day there's a weird AI trend on TikTok. Like, why are you showing me your like imaginary celebrity parents? Like, I saw someone whose celebrity parents was Millie Bobby Brown. You're 45 years old. How would your mom be Millie Bobby Brown? Like, I don't even know, or whatever. Millie Bonnie Bon Jovi now. I don't even know. Okay? Very bizarre. I hate those weird AI trends. Like I saw one like what it would look like if I was fat or something like that, and it's like, and then you slide and then they're actually skinny and we're like, what? Like be normal. Like why can't we be normal, guys? Anyway, I don't like AI in that use and stuff like that. And that's the most common use of AI, is all of these weird challenges. And also like I use AI for like if I need to summarize a long document and I'm like I can't read all of that stuff. Like shout out Microsoft Copilot. Like AI can be used for good and like to make things easier for people, and like everybody's like AI is gonna take our jobs. Very well could. Like honestly, I don't even know at this point, but I do think that it really should just be used to make our jobs easier instead of actually taking our jobs. But again, everybody's so money hungry that if they find a way to cut corners, they will. So yeah, but this whole campaign, very strange. I don't know why an official government body would do something like this. And I don't think I like the normalization of AI being used like with government bodies. But also another bizarre thing they did, same authority. They were advertising their sustainable Christmas tree lighting ceremony. And then it was like, you know, the environment, like we no damage to the environment using this poster. It's an AI poster. So you can't say AI and environmentally friendly in one sentence. Like that's just, I mean, I don't, you killed a tree to advertise your Christmas tree lighting, your sustainable Christmas tree lighting. Like, how fucking stupid is that? Genuinely, I don't understand. Like, you could have actually just paid an actual. It's. I just think using AI for art, one, is so disrespectful to actual artists, and it's just lazy. Like, honestly, like if you couldn't have done it, pay somebody else to do it, an actual artist, and they would have done it for you. I could have done that on Canva, actually in like 10 minutes. So honest, and like it looks like a child drew it. Go to a school and do like a little competition for the kids. Who can draw us a little poster? Boom, there's your thing. And it's like a fun, like, it's just so lazy, honestly. Anyway, that's the AI story. Moving on. Guys, sorry this is such a long episode. It's just that Jim Gavin thing took way too long. But anyway, what's Catherine Connolly up to? I miss that girl. Shout out to her. She was hosting Greta Thunberg. Shout out to the Go icon, what you call an icon, living, okay? Greta's living her best life in Ireland. Like, I think she's Irish at heart. Like, it's in her spirit. Like, why am I seeing videos of her at a kneecap concert with a balaclava on, peace signs up? Do you know, like, she is having the best fucking time here. And she deserves it. She's been through a lot, bless her heart. Like, saw a photo with her in kneecap and like DC Fontaines. She was at Dollyman Park or something. She was in like she's been everywhere. Galway. I think she's at the like at a restaurant or something. There's like some like poetry reading or something she's going to. I don't even know, guys. Like she's just out and about. Every time I see her, she's not even in the same city that she was in before. Like she's just moving around and around and around and around. That's the way to do it. Shout out to her. So she got to meet Catherine Connolly, and like they would get on, wouldn't they? Like they have the same kind of morals and principles and stuff, and like, fighting for the same fights. You get me? Next, what else is she doing? Catherine Connolly was at the launch of. Sorry, let me get this right. She was at the launch of a new monolingual Irish dictionary, which is really interesting that I didn't know we had this, or even like that this was what they're called. But so before, when Irish speakers found a word that they didn't know or like to know the meaning of, they'd have to translate it into English and then look up the meaning of that word in English, and that's how they'd know like what it means. Now with this new dictionary, it just like you can just look up what does this mean and it'll describe it to you. Oh, Squelga. The CEO of Force na Gaeilge, he said, instead of asking what's the English for X, speakers will now be empowered to ask what does X mean. I think that's incredibly, incredibly cool. And it's like other languages have this. Like we're just really behind on the times, I guess. But like now with this kind of like resurgence of the Irish language and everybody wanting to learn and stuff, it's like, yes, like let's give people the resources to do that, you know? It's pretty cool. I'm going to give you guys a bit of context before I get into this bill that was shut down. Okay, so when a bill is introduced into the Dáil, it goes through different stages of debates and rewrites and just a lot of conversation, a lot of changes, okay? But if a bill doesn't pass by the time the next general election happens and like the Dáil is dissolved, if it doesn't pass during that time, when the new Dáil is formed, it has to be restored, okay? So bills are almost always restored. But sometimes people can vote or like oppose a bill being restored and call for a vote. And if there's a vote and people say, we don't want this bill restored, it's done. Like, if it depends on the majority of which way it goes, you know? So this is what happened very, very recently. Okay, so Breed Smith in the last Dáil, like the last term before this current one, introduced a bill called the Health and in brackets Regulation of Termination of Pregnancy bracket another bracket amendment bracket bill. Why is there so many brackets, low key? But anyway, Regulation of Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Bill, basically, and is brought before by Breed Smith, but she's retired now. Okay, so this bill called for abolishing the mandatory 3-day waiting period for abortion on request, proposed to allow abortion on request up to 22 weeks of pregnancy before fetal viability, and to expand access in cases of fatal fetal abnormality, likely to result in the death of the fetus before birth or within a year of birth. These are very rational to me. And like obviously all of the research has been done and like compared to other countries and whatnot and their policies around abortion, okay? Like we passed our law, like we passed the abortion, the repeal the 8th, like 2018. But you know, times have changed and it was very basic, okay? So, and it's also not working. But anyway, you know, they wanted to restore this bill. Paul Murphy said, can like let's restore the bill. Potter Tobin ain't too TD says, nah, obviously, like, he's very, like, hates gay people. I don't know if he hates them, but he doesn't think that they should be allowed to get married. So to me, I'm like, that's hate, because why, why can't we just get married when we want to? Like, who the hell are you to tell me I can't marry who the hell I want to marry, you know? Anyway, so, you know, hates gay people, hates abortion, hates women working, and like he's just old school, backwards, if you will. Okay, so he said he opposed the motion to restore it and called for a vote, and like he won because the bill lost 73 to 71. So that's like such a tiny, tiny gap. Also, this was a free vote, which means that you can vote with your conscience and like your morals and your beliefs and not with party lines. So usually like you're whipped or whatever, like there's a party whip and they'll say we're all voting this way, we're all voting that way, we're all voting this way. This one was vote with whatever your heart desires, and boy did people did, okay? So all the independent Ireland TDs that were present in the chamber, they all voted against the bill. As it ain't too, obviously. Okay? But who voted in favour of restoring the bill? The Social Democrats, People Before Profit, Labour, and a number of independent TDs who were there. Okay? And Sinn Féin, the Sinn Féin TDs who were there. Interestingly, from Fine Gael, interesting or like just people on in the government who voted for restoring it. Minister for Health Jennifer Carroll McNeil, Minister for Expenditure Jack Chambers, and that's which is interesting because Jack Chambers voted no in the repeal the 8th campaign. So, or the repeal the 8th abortion referendum. So he's kind of changed his tune. I applaud people who grow. I mean, would he have actually voted in the very end, like when it was time to approve this bill? Would he have voted? We don't know. But he voted to restore it at the very least. I think people who voted no, I'm like, you don't even want to have a debate. You don't want to have a conversation. Like, you don't even want it to exist. Like, to me, that is just the crazy part. Like, just to restore it, you know? Anyway, people that voted, let's see, who voted no? Ugh, obvious ones here. Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan, okay? And he voted no, I assume, in the last one as well, okay? Fianna Fáil's Mary Butler, who's the government whip, actually, the government chief whip. Then also Albert Dolan. These are all Fianna Fáilers, okay? Albert Dolan, Martin Daly, Cathal Crowe, Sean Fleming, John Connolly. I don't know any of these people, honestly. Okay. And then who else? Who else also voted no? Okay, Niall Collins, who is a Minister of State in the Department of Justice. And then we have a Charlie McConalogue. I can't pronounce that. Anyway, there's a lot of people. Do you know what? I'm actually going to post the list because I think it's important so you can like see your local TD and see what way they voted, you know? Because it's not as clear as like Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil voted no and whatever voted whatever. Like it's actually people voting with their beliefs in mind. And sometimes stuff like this like stresses me out because I'm like, you're the Minister for Justice and this is what how you feel about abortion and like women's rights and the women's rights to choose. Like I think we are so past the point of men telling women what to do with their bodies. Like, if I want an abortion, like, I don't know why people, like, why can't we just trust women? Like, if I want an abortion, who the hell are you to tell me and come back in 3 days? Really think about it, love. Is this really what you want? Who the hell are you to tell me to do that? Anyway, Reed Smith, who brought forward this bill, her statement. Let's listen to it. I am disgusted to see my bill that was passed by the last Dáil has now been blocked from being restored to the new Dáil. Last year, 7 years after repeal, at least 240 women travelled to Britain for abortion services. Last night's vote means that forced exodus will continue for the foreseeable future. My bill proposed to decriminalize the provision of abortion and to abolish the patronizing 3-day waiting period for abortion on request. The bill would have legalized abortion on grounds of fatal fetal abnormality, and it would have provided for abortion where there is a risk to the life or of serious harm to the health of the pregnant woman. The passing of the bill in the last Dáil was important progress for women's rights, but that has now been undone. This demonstrates again that the women's rights that we have were hard won by pressure from below and cannot be taken for granted. The political establishment will roll back those rights if they think they can. But they will not be allowed to get away with it. The campaign for abortion rights will continue, and people before profit will work with campaigners and seek new opportunities in the Dáil to provide full abortion rights for women in this state. We will settle for nothing less. I think that's a great statement. Perfect 10 out of 10, no notes. Agree with every minute, every word, every last letter in that. So, yeah, we will see what they come up with, what other bills they put forward, but I like to know that it brings me comfort to know that they're not done. And I'd love some other parties, left-wing parties, to actually contribute to the conversation. I don't know. Like, I'm glad the Social Democrats and Labour and Sinn Féin all voted for it, but I'd love to see a little collaboration between the parties on putting forward something. Did you get me? So, next. So, another people before profit bill was shut down. They're not having a good week, bless them. Anyway, so this one was to ban fox hunting, okay? So 24 TDs voted to amend the Animal Health and Welfare Act of 2013. So this would have prohibited the use of canines to hunt or flush out foxes and prohibit trapping or snaring of the foxes in order to kill them. 124 TDs voted against this. Guys, Michael Healy-Rae, the Kerry TD, I mean, we all know who that is, okay? He went on a rampage. Like, he just came out there, guns blazing, bang, you're next, bang, reloaded. He was on one, okay? He said one, it was misleading the public and that like fox hunting is actually a means of pest control. He described the bill as a con job, okay? This is my favorite line. I think there's so many favorite lines, but this is my favorite one that I just think is so funny. He said that the bill is giving the impression that this is about people up on horses with red coats and shouting "Tally ho!" I mean, I added the flair, but he did say "Tally ho!" That is so funny to me. Oh God. And he said that he's sympathetic to farmers who are doing this as a means of pest control, you know, and like whose lambs are being targeted by fox. He said it'll make you a criminal tomorrow if you want to go out and shoot these foxes or those foxes. The lamb's throats will have been pulled apart by your beautiful foxes. That's misleading in itself though, because the bill doesn't say that. Like if you like it doesn't ban shooting foxes on your own land to protect livestock. So like if it's a means of pest control, then you're fine, you know? Like but if you're on your red coast, Chantalio. I don't really think you should be allowed to do that. I don't know. Okay, and then he's done with Ruth Coppinger. Now he's boom turned his sights on Social Democrats TD Jennifer Whitmore, who had also spoken on the bill today. He goes, like a wasp, she came in, stung, and ran. Okay, because Whitmore had been saying like it's not about rural versus urban. It's actually about animal welfare and animal abuse. Like, like you can't really just be shooting at foxes. I mean, apparently you can actually. And then she also read out letters from people who were living in rural Ireland who support the ban. Okay. And then he said something about like, 30% of the people in his constituency voted for him. So like they probably support his own view, like support his views. And then he said maybe she'd stick that in her pipe and smoke it. And then he also says you can't go against the electorate. They're the bosses. Ruth Coppinger said that was like that comment was dripping in misogyny, and it really was like, who like you can't talk to anyone that way. Honestly, like Jesus, like have a bit of decorum, like okay. And then now he's moved his sights on. He's gone reloaded. He's gone and moved on to Owen Hayes, another Social Democrats CD. And he said, when I'm on a roll, I'll take them out one by one, as if they're foxes. He said that because Owen Hayes was talking about how it's like an important tradition, and it's like he said it's a throwback to the empire because it came from Britain, like, and he said that we're cosplaying, the people who partake in it are cosplaying as British aristocrats. Ooh, that's crazy. He also said that it's galling that this is an interesting one. He also said that it's galling that three parties whose foundations are anti-colonial, which are Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and Sinn Féin, would support one of the last cultural vestiges of the British Empire in Ireland. I mean, bars. And then Healy Rae said, you're talking absolute rubbish because he didn't understand the bill properly. And then he said about Owen Hayes, he doesn't care about the farmers that want to protect their livestock. Again, that's like it's just not true. Like that's not what the bill says. So maybe Michael Healy Rae should take another look at it. I mean, it's gone now anyway, so damn. And apparently there was a recent opinion poll, and the majority of people um believed that it should be banned here. Like it's banned in the UK, which is where we imported it from anyway. Apparently people still do like fox hunting is still a thing, but like it's illegal. So yeah. So what else has gone on in the Dáil? So Rory Hearne, okay, like, key interesting fact, you're not allowed to use props in the Dáil. I didn't know this actually. Interesting now that I'm thinking about it, I've never seen anyone use a prop in the Dáil, I guess because you're not allowed to. But Rory Hearne, the Social Democrats TD, held up a flag with the number 5,274, which is the number of children who will be spending Christmas in emergency accommodation. And obviously everybody was pissed I was holding up this flag because you're not allowed to use props. But anyway, and the writing of it was from the 1916 proclamation because he said, we committed as this state to cherish all children equally. We are not doing that, and I'm calling on you, Taoiseach, to take priority action on this. And Hearne was calling for a temporary ban on evictions. He also said, do you really consider what life is like for the 5,274 children living in emergency accommodation, how damaging and traumatizing it is to them? These children will spend Christmas without a Christmas tree, without a dinner table that they can sit around with their families on Christmas Day. They will wonder, will Santa even find them each week? That is a devastating line. That is actually really, really devastating. And he's absolutely right. So, Taoiseach Simon Harris said, you know what? Despite the rules that you have broken, you actually are highlighting a very important issue. I hate when he does that. I don't know, guys. Specifically, Fine Gael, I feel like are so guilty of this that they try to remove themselves from government or like act like they're not part of government. Like that's a great issue that you raise. You're in government. Every issue that they raise is an issue you have caused. What are you talking about? Anyway, he said, I think everybody in this house considers what more we can do. You should be considering more than others, considering you actually have control. Nonetheless, moving on. He said, and must do in relation to child and family homelessness. He also said that different parties have different policy perspectives. Homelessness, guys, And you're talking about policy perspectives. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a policy choice, and it's policy choices that they have made that have led to this homelessness crisis. 5,274 children in emergency accommodation. And you're talking about policy perspectives. You're not serious. And you're so unbelievably out of touch. I just can't keep repeating it because I'm getting sick of my own voice. Like, seriously. Unbelievable. But there we have it. Also, okay, so very last point, and it's a good one to end on because it kind of makes me giggle. You know, every year we have somebody in the Dáil stands up and says, Santa, I'm announcing that Santa has permission to fly in Irish airspace to deliver the presents to children. That happened again this year, but somebody posted it on TikTok or on Instagram, and the comments were so funny. Two of my favorites. He has a short slot between Israeli and US munitions flights. Good luck, Santa. So funny, so accurate, so true. Another one said, couldn't stop him if he wanted to. Clock that tea because we have people like wizards flying left, right, and center around Irish airspace carrying what? Bombs, guns, weapons that are used in warfare, in genocide. So even if we wanted to stop Santa, we wouldn't because we don't stop anybody. Okay? But that's the note that I'm ending on. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And yeah, I feel like it's so weird that I only did 3 episodes and then it's like a hiatus. Like, sorry guys. But actually it was nice because I got to see like, is this something people even want? Will anybody listen? But people are listening, and everybody's so, so nice about it. And I'm getting great feedback, and I'm gonna use this little gap, these like 3 weeks, I guess, to make it better and kind of like figure out what worked, what doesn't work. And then, yeah, we will have a solid podcast. How about that, guys? Isn't that crazy? But yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and I hope everyone has a great Christmas day. I wonder what everyone's doing. I wish I could like talk to everyone who listens to me individually and be like, so what are you up to? Anyway, so I hope everyone has a great Christmas and a great New Year's Eve. Ugh, I feel like New Year's Eve is usually a bit of a letdown, but like I'm so excited if the girls are listening. I can't wait. We're going out this year as always, but I actually kind of miss staying in for New Year's Eve. I used to spend it with my family, but now I'm a grown up and like I guess you spend it on out in town, so that's what I'll be doing. So yeah, I hope everyone has a great time, and I wonder will people be doing that grape thing, the 12 grapes under the table. I don't know if I'll be doing that. Maybe I should, the way life has been going some little bit recently, but yeah, we'll see. So anyway, blessings. Blessings. Okay. Bye.